The drive starts right now.
Starts right now. Just living the dream.
Here's a guy who gets paid to talk.
1, 2, hold it back, you know what I mean? 1, 2, 3.
Happy Wednesday. This is The Drive on 252 Fox Sports Radio, 107.5 FM, WWNB 1490 AM, worldwide 252foxsports.com. You can find us on the TuneIn Radio app. It's absolutely free on your Google or Apple device. Go to your app store today and download TuneIn Radio. Once you've done so, open that old app up. Find the search feature, type in WWNB. Or if you're on a desktop, tunein.com, same thing, search feature WWNB. You can, if you have an Alexa device, you can just simply ask Alexa to play WWNB. Find 252 Fox Sports on YouTube, 252 Fox Sports on X/Twitter, whatever you call it. Find 252 Fox Sports on Facebook. And you can even find this fine show, The Drive with Mark Panichelli, on Facebook. And that's me. I'm Mark Panichelli, and this is The Drive. And I'm glad to have you aboard today. We are going to have a fun show today. We'll talk Super Bowl. Of course, all week long, Super Bowl talk. I mean, a very little bit. What are we going to add that you can't get nationally 50 other places? So we're just going to but today's fun because my college basketball guy's on today. David Fernandez, West Craven Eagles athletic director. So I get to talk a little college basketball. Big win for NC State last night. How about the Wolfpack on the road last night? They deserve some recognition nationally. And I know everybody's like, don't put them on the polls. No, look, it's a good basketball team. They're playing really good basketball. Duke with a big win last night as well. So we'll talk college basketball and more. David Fernandez is going to join us. But one of the things we're going to talk about, and I want to tease this, they're trying to find a head coach for the West Craven Eagles, and we're going to talk about that. Oh, yes. We're going to talk about that and more, so let's go ahead and do it. I believe – wait a minute. I believe I've got him right now. We got a phone call.
Yay!
Very happy to welcome back to the show after only a 1-week hiatus, but athletic director, West Craven Eagles, David Fernandez. And Coach, good afternoon. Always good to talk to you.
You too, Mark. How you doing today?
We were talking before. Just trying to adapt to, waking up every morning with a whole bunch of snow on the ground and it looks like, again, we're going to get some more ice and stuff. So just living in a weird parallel universe, which I'm excited to talk to you about. But how about you? I mean, I know for you specifically, especially with the job where you've got the schools, back when I was a kid, we didn't have this remote learning thing, which, again, you go back a couple of years ago where it was sort of, because of the situation we were in, it kind of forced the education system to go ahead and jump into this remote learning thing. However, it does affect all of the usual daily stuff. Kids aren't necessarily attending classes, and then this puts a crimp in a lot of the athletic activities, so to speak. So talk to me about your week and how it's been trying to navigate these weather challenges.
Well, yeah, first and foremost, the snow, man, it's just always cool to see. Kind of reminds me being from the Midwest, something that just happens routinely there. And probably for a lot of people around here that are from the North, probably think the same thing. But South's just not set up for it. So, it's always cool to get during the winter time and see it and participate in it. A little bit of winter weather. This time was a little bit more severe than we've had, here recently. But it does cause some issues because like we've talked about before, we're real routine-based, schedule-oriented when it becomes, in the athletic realm, especially at the high school level. In everything that we do, our kids, our student athletes have that kind of dictated schedule to them when practices are. Come to school so you can go to practice. Keep your grades up. You're going to get breakfast and lunch, that kind of thing. So when we're out of school, it just kind of disrupts that whole thing. I've had coaches calling me the last few days, man. When can we get on court, whatever? But you just got to look at it. Ultimately, they understand where we're at specifically for West Craven. A lot of country roads, a lot of back twisting, winding roads that just aren't able to get cleared off like a city street can. So it just kind of puts everything in balance. We've already rescheduled. We were supposed to have played Tuesday night basketball. We've already rescheduled that for next Wednesday night. So now we're going to go at Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday next week. We are out of school the remainder of today and tomorrow. Friday, we don't know anything about yet. Well, we're supposed to play Friday night. So now we're in a dilemma where we haven't practiced Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, because we're going to be out of school. That's 6 days in a row. And potentially we've got to make a decision. Are we going to play Friday night, having not done anything for, 6, 7 days in a row? That can pose its own challenges in that kids just aren't in shape. You take 6 days off, they lose some stamina, that kind of thing. So, and then is it safe to do that? Now, I mean, go let them play basketball. They're going to be fine. Well, when they're going 100% and they're going hard, we risk, an opportunity for injury when we've done nothing for 6 days. You wouldn't go out and run a marathon, after taking a week off. So those are some challenges we got to think about. Wrestling. It doesn't really affect the boys per se. We don't have swimming and diving, or indoor track, so I'm not even going to go to those realms. They've kind of delayed those at the state level for the championships for them. But for the wrestling tournament, it was supposed to be Friday, Saturday. We're going about a 4-hour activity bus ride over to South Davidson for the girls' wrestling championships. So we had planned on staying the night, Friday night, wrestling, Friday night, wrestling Saturday, coming back. Now that's all been thrown up into arms, and they're going to go Tuesday night. So now they're going to go a 4-hour one-way activity bus ride Tuesday night. They're going to have to obviously stay there because they're going to start at 4 o'clock, and they're going to run the entire state championship girls event all on Tuesday night till it's done. So there's a potential here that thing not getting done till midnight or after, give or take 30 minutes. So then for us, West Craven, that's a 4-hour bus ride back. So we're going to have no choice but to stay the night, Tuesday night. So now we've taken students out of the classroom for a couple more days on top of what we just did right now. So a lot of challenges, a lot of hurdles, but I say it all the time. I applaud our coaches. I applaud our student athletes more than anything. They can adjust on the fly. They can pivot where we need them to. They always have. They probably always will. That's just the part of the realm of being in the world of athletics. So I really applaud what they do and how they do it. Because you got to think now, our girls are going to go wrestle for state championships, and they've done nothing either here for the last 6, 7 days. So in terms of weight limits and stamina and all that, they've done nothing either. So, this weather can just really throw a wrench in things. But at the end of the day, it's life. There are things more important than us playing high school sports. We'll get through it. We'll get through it to the best of our ability. And I just don't know, other than to brag on Eagle Nation a little bit, I just don't know, that West Craven athletics or the student athletes and coaches would have it any other way. They'll do it. They'll level and they'll get done what we need them to get done.
I was wondering from the NCHSAA standpoint, because over the years I've seen where we've had, like a hurricane come into an area and affect that area and cause, and I mean, specifically, we can talk about West Craven High School. I remember, the flooding that we had and how it just put a complete just monkey wrench into the entire calendar year. But you're talking about a specific area a lot of times when it comes to hurricanes, or you go back to the flooding from the western part of the state, which happened not too long ago. But this particular situation is almost statewide. I mean, other than Raleigh, my daughter's a student at NC State. She was a little mad that they got so much less snow than the rest of the state. But for the most part, what West Craven is dealing with is what a lot of smaller schools, country roads and those things, with this winter storm and the winter weather affecting the whole state. I was wondering, when it comes to basketball and when it comes to all of these things, where's the NCHSA on this as far as trying to adjust schedules? Because it feels like it may be a statewide issue as much as it is just here in Eastern North Carolina.
It is, and that's why, they've probably done the right thing And we don't have at West Craven indoor track or swimming and diving. They were just going to kind of forego the regionals, go right to the state championships across the state because everybody is dealing with this winter weather. But then there was some pushback from parents that, hey, our kids competed all year for this opportunity just to get to a regional, and now we're going to take that away from them. And so I applaud the NCHSAA. They take a lot of bagging a lot of times that they don't do things right for kids or they don't do things that make sense. Well, they've got this state's huge, Mark. And if you go from the coast to the tip of the mountains by Tennessee or Georgia, that covers a lot of square miles. There's a lot of things, these people up in the mountains are used to this snow. I mean, they drive. I was up there a few weeks ago, and probably a lot of people know there's a lot of what we call the mini buses here. There's a lot of school buses that are the mini buses. And when I started thinking about it, it made a lot of sense because they got to go around these mountains and these curvy roads and everything. So they're a little bit more prepared for it than we are. Sometimes like you said, we get hit with the hurricanes and they got sunny weather. Unfortunately, they had that real bad hurricane a year ago that kind of wiped out a lot of things. But so on their level, they pushed back those state championships a week so that everybody can have an opportunity to be a part of it. For wrestling, they've delayed it a little bit. It just made it a little bit inconvenient because now being on the weekend and we were playing on stay of the night, we're not really missing some class time. Now we got to go during the week. Yeah. But those things aren't taken lightly. Trust me, they're not taken lightly. There's a lot of smart people in that room at the board of directors level with superintendents and principals and very few coaches at that level because they do think of the student athlete as a whole and what it means for everybody and not just a small pocket here or there. So they make good decisions overall. But like anything else, political, sports, life, we're all not going to agree or all see it in the same light. So unfortunately, they've got that task to make it happen. They do the best they can, and we make do with it. But we also know in the big picture, if you just really stop and look at it, they always make decisions that are best for everybody, even though you may not like it for your entire situation. But those decisions, I don't know if I answered your question or not, those decisions, when they realize something is off and they need to adjust, they need to pivot, they'll ask the coaches associations, for input. And those coaches associations then can hit their members with a quick survey or a quick text message or email. Hey, what do you think? How are things in your area? They take that feedback back to the NCHSAA. The NCHSAA then has a board of directors, and they don't really enact anything, any kind of rules change, any kind of gameplay change, anything along this nature without that board of directors having a say and kind of a vote to it. Like I just said, for the reason of there's some really smart individuals in that room. They think about the entire student, not just the athlete part of it. And so they make the best decisions they can. But that's kind of how that works and pivots. And they give us the information as quickly as they can. They work diligently to get things done. And, in the athletic world, sometimes you just got to pivot and make things happen. And, that's what we're doing.
Read and react. That's what the coaches used to tell me. It's the reading.
There you go. There you go.
No, and I did. I'm excited about this because I'm going to tease everybody for just a minute. To switch gears a little bit, but keeping it in the high school world. But now let's get hyper focused on the West Craven part. And so last week you're not on the show. And it's because, and I'm going to give everybody this little bit of tease because you were working, as you have been, on the head coaching vacancy for the football team. And so, and of course, yes, we want names. We want to know who. In all seriousness, though, what's interesting to me is how different it is. We've watched, especially from the football standpoint, we watched the colleges go through this cycle of hiring their coaches. The NFL went through 10 coaching vacancies. But on this level, it's different. Now, yes, the football is important. The coaching is important. I'm not suggesting otherwise, but there's so much about this that goes beyond that. One is, of course, this is a teaching position, right? There's an educational component to this whole thing. But of course, that's probably way secondary. And I'm not suggesting that the teaching is secondary, but the biggest thing with any hire, and I feel like this transcends sports, is the chemistry when it comes to the right fit. Whether, again, the hiring a person who's going to fit with the coaches that are already on your staff, that's going to fit within the community, because every situation is so unique. And when you talk about Wes Craven and the Eagles, you're talking about this community here in Western Craven County, which, as I said, not to get within specifics, but as I said, takes a unique person to kind of come in there. And so talk to me about that process. As I said, it's not as simple as, hey, we went out because this guy's won, 10 games a season or, 4 out of the last 5 years, or, it's not as simple as, they have the coaching, they've got their teaching degree, they've got all the right credentials, this, that, and the other. It takes, as I said, a whole lot of, or a little bit of everything for it to be the perfect fit. And again, you still don't know until you start to get the gears turning. But talk to me a little bit about the process as you're trying to fill the vacancy there left behind by Coach Twitchell's exit.
Yeah, and specifically in our situation, we thank Coach Twitchell for everything he did. Him leaving was a complete surprise to us. We thought we had a lot of good years left in him. He had done just an outstanding job for us and left our job in an outstanding position. But when you get put in that situation where we have a coaching change, like you alluded, a lot goes into it. This isn't, if the coach just had to come in and coach, they better have a good secondary job, because it doesn't pay that much for you to just come in and coach. So you revolve back on the teacher side of it. There is a teacher salary. There is a teaching position. We have the fortunate luxury of sometimes, if you call it that, that teacher can teach anything. Yeah. They don't specifically got to be in one discipline or not. Obviously with this position, the weight room is there. It's a PE position, that kind of thing. But that doesn't close the candidacy to just, somebody that holds a certification in that area. There are other positions in a building that a potential coach could come in. But the teaching part is first. Now I'll back up for a minute. And I know how this kind of sounds, but I just wholeheartely believe in it. I'm a coach at heart, always have been, knew I wanted to be since I was in high school. Have tried to be around coaches as much as I can, and a student of coaches. If you get a really good coach, you're going to get a really good teacher. So that just kind of goes hand in hand. And so in this process specifically, you can kind of jumpstart a little bit and go to the X and O's and to the football capacity of the position, because if you get a really good person in this spot, they're going to be able to handle the classroom. They're going to be able to handle differentiating instruction and classroom management and discipline. Well, heck, you got to have all that in your football program, or you're going to fail right from the start. So, we could jumpstart and look right at coaches first, and then seeing where we can plug them in teaching wise. But Mark, at this level, a lot of those high school football, they want to be in the weight room. They understand the weight room is the lifeblood to their program year round. And so a lot of high school football coaches, probably 99% of them, want to be in the weight room, want to have their hands kind of on the ingredients of how to make, the pie at the end of the day. So, we look into that. When something like this happens, you get flooded. You post a job. It's a health PE position that we currently have open, but we do have other spots. And then you just post it in numerous spots. There's, some guys that have their ears into high school sports across the state. I won't shamelessly plug their programs or whatever, but they've got the ears of a lot of coaches that can get your opening out. There's the Max Preps. There's the North Carolina Athletic Directors Association. There's several ways you can get your job opening posted out there for people to see. And then you just kind of, through that process, there'll be all kinds of resumes that come in. And to be honest with you, I don't think I'm giving away any secrets here. We kind of prioritize them in different areas. Setting head coaches, that was kind of a folder of all resumes that came in. Coordinators, offensive, defensive, special teams, whatever it was. If they were a coordinator, they kind of went into a folder of where they were. And then position coaches, because some guys, are looking for a break or looking to elevate their careers. And they're not a coordinator right now or a head coach, but they're looking to get into that spot. So then we had a folder of position coaches. And then, no disrespect, but just don't know how else I put it. But then we had a folder of community coaches, guys that do have other jobs that aren't teachers, that just want, that do coach on the side, find enough time to be able to do that. And so we had 4 folders that we can put resumes that come in. Those resumes come in from those avenues that we put the position out in, but also people, coaches. It's a close knit community of coaches. They see when jobs are open, and our jobs are a really good job. Thanks to Coach Twitchell and Coach Jordan in the past, who have built our program up to what it is. People want to look and see, hey, what do you got? What's available? Why is that job so good? So sometimes they stick their resume in without ever seeing a posting, just because they heard of it. And then, just to be honest, too, in a position like ours, you go seek out some people too. So people that don't just send their resumes in, you go seek out some people that you think can fit into what you're doing, that are already doing it at a high level, and see if you can't recruit them a little bit to come join you in what we do. So there's that big gamut of everything under a big umbrella. And honestly, Mark, that probably exceeds 50-ish names that we've gone over, in the last month of things. So once you go through that process, you just kind of try to narrow it down off paper a little bit, talk to some people. I'm giving away no secrets here, but, you can always talk to opposing coaches. Hey, what did you think about Coach X? What are they like? Mm-hmm. They'll tell you, because they're in a conference with them or they're a rival with them. They'll tell you how hard they were to prepare for, or how good a job they do. Or, I as an athletic director and as a coach myself, I'm impressed with some of the people I've talked to that have talked so positively about their colleagues. They do so, a common theme I hear a lot, they do more with what they got than what they're given, which to me is just kind of coach speak with, man, they know how to coach, they know how to coach ball. They know how to get done. They don't have all the resources like a Power 4 conference has. They get done with what they got in their school building at a high level. And it's always good in our profession just to hear people speak positively about other people. But, you do your due diligence, your research, see what people are like, see what other people are saying, see what they put down on paper. And then, today's world, there's so much film. You can go to every avenue, the NFHS network. You can go to YouTube. You can just Google search a school's name or a coach, and all across the country, really. And you can pull up game film and just see what guys really do on a Friday night. And some of the luxury of it, I'll be honest with you, I saw one guy, and I'll be honest, we interviewed this individual. I saw him on the network chewing out his quarterback coming off the field. And I thought, man, Coach Twitchell had some passion too, and that there were some nights he had to do that to some of our players. And then I see this in this guy. And so, the network can always just find hidden things on you because there's always a camera on you on Friday night. So we just kind of go through that process. And then there's the interview process. We bring some guys to campus. We show off our area. We think, there's a local mom and pop restaurant here in the middle of Vanceboro that everybody probably knows what I'm talking about, that, people like to go get a nice little home cooked meal in. So we like to show off the town of Vanceboro. There you go. We like to show off the town of Vanceboro. We like to show off the school and what we got in terms of our facilities, who really, just be honest, Mark, at the high school level, our facilities are as good as anybody in the area, probably 75, 80-mile radius. When you consider our practice field, our stadium, Jordan Stadium, our field house, Dennis Smith video room in the field house, the new locker room addition from our booster club, the weight room. We just have top-notch things at our place. And it put years of hard work into that. Coach Twitchell, our Eagle Club, the school, they put a lot of years, a lot of work and blood, sweat, and tears into that. So it just didn't happen overnight, and it wasn't just given to us. But, we're very prideful of that and like to show it off. And candidates have been, very welcome to that and enjoy seeing what we got. And then you go through a process where the job just isn't for anyone. Because you look at it from the outside, it's like anything, Mark. We're watching all these NFL jobs, and it's like, oh, man, why would they not go there? Why would they not go, get this? Hey, why don't they go get this free agent, bring him in? It's not that easy once you start breaking things down. Guys got families. And, I'll be honest, one thing we've run into a lot here in this coaching church, there's a lot of wives that are pregnant right now. And so that, that has something to do with wanting to move wherever it is, to come into the West Craven community, because they've got doctors established and due dates coming up and all that. There's the whole infrastructure of the family of the coach. Do they move into this community? How much time can they take away from their kids if they have them? All those kind of things. And just be honest with you, Mark. If a radio station in Asheville called you today, hey, come interview with us, move out here. Man, you're from here. You've been around. You've got some roots established of where you're at, and now you're asking me to come somewhere else. And hey, that might be a real nice studio, and that might be a real nice area, and you're closer to the beach or whatever. But you've got to give up some of those roots. And in 2026, the way things are today, and education and all that, sometimes it's just not easy to give up those roots. Despite what you might see on Friday night, despite that stadium being filled, the atmosphere, the winning that we still think we could do for years to come.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that's just not the easiest thing to give up, and for the outside people outside the bubble, they always don't see that as the case and just think, man, they got to come, they got to come, they got to come. Well, it takes a real good recruiting strategy and a real good sell on why that next person does need to come here. But to date right now, we don't have a new head coach quite yet. We do feel comfortable with where we're at. Coach Hackney, one of our assistant coaches, Hunter Hackney, bright young guy. He's from here. And he's an alumni, baseball guy, football guy, just a tremendous young coach and teacher. What he does in the classroom, I've seen it firsthand. Just marvelous. He's covering our weight room for us. There's not a lot of football going on right now. We've got college coaches, so the public knows we've got college coaches coming in left and right to recruit our guys right now. So, nothing in terms of West Craven football has skipped a beat. We just don't have that head coach in title quite yet. But what I would say to you, Mark, in kind of wrapping up this whole process of how it works, we're doing our due diligence to make sure we have that right person in place, because we don't want to go through this again in a couple of years. We don't want the guy to fail. We don't want the program to take a step back. We feel it's at a very high level, and we want to enhance it a little bit. So we want to make sure we have the right person in every facet, shape and form. Can they get out in the community and build community trust? Can they get out there, their off-season program, and do things in the spring with spring football, in the summer, and fall camp leading up to the season? Do they believe in the whole school atmosphere, coming to basketball games, getting guys to wrestle, coming to track events, going to baseball, softball games in the spring? I said that if they're a good coach, they're going to check off that good teacher box, but can they reach everybody? In sports, you got to reach that kid that, he knows where his meal's coming from tonight, and it probably is going to be out to eat because they might eat out every single night, or he knows his family's going to be there for him when he goes to sleep tonight, or he's not worried about his shoes. Well, you got to go all the way down to the athlete that's got to have a secondary job to be able to buy those game shoes, all the way down to the athlete that might not, because we're in school, might not get breakfast today and might be just getting one meal at dinner time tonight, or might be going to bed tonight while their parents at work because they're in a single family household. So in athletics, we touch every single student there is in our building, in every spectrum of every form. Some guys are self-motivated, some guys aren't. And so we need to make sure we find that right coach that can check almost every box we have, and then use our infrastructure from Pop Warner to middle school to the Eagle Club to our current coaches on staff that just do that. I've told you all season long, the secret to our sauce has been our coaching staff as a whole. Where can we then enhance that candidate and maybe check off a box that we missed in hiring them? But, in a nutshell, I hope I didn't take up too much time, but it's a bigger, more complicated process than what people think, but it's because we have an obligation to our student athletes to put the best possible person to lead them. Kind of a cliche, but if you do it right, it's true, to give them lifelong lessons that, one day the ball is going to deflate for everybody. And what do they revolve back on as good husbands, good fathers, good spouses, good community members, good workers in the workforce? We've got to have somebody that can help teach and mold that right now at the high school level. And so it's a very important position, a very important job, one we take very seriously. And that's why we're kind of taking our time and making sure we get the right person.
Yeah, and I'm not giving away any secrets here. In 20 years of doing radio here, I have had a few offers over the years to uproot and go somewhere else. But you and I both have such an appreciation for basketball, and I miss those West Coast games where Bill Walton would call and he would say crazy things. We talk about the sacred earth of Temecula, and which is the part of California he was from. Well, let me tell you about if I can for a minute, why I've never taken a job and why, again, I do love my job for what it is, but I love this community. And let me tell everybody, whoever takes this job, whoever gets this job, I should say, gets this opportunity, let me tell you about the sacred earth of West Craven. It's just one of the great communities you'll ever get. And you were talking about bragging on Vanceboro, but of course it's made up of, Dover and Fort Barnwell and Cove City and Bridgeton. And it's a vast area and it's very rural for sure. But you want to talk about and yes, when you talk about the facilities and what a coach and an athlete can get out of being an Eagle. But one of the things that's sort of an intangible is you get to come into this Eagle Nation, this community, this fan base of former students or former athletes, community members, the citizens of the area who come out on the Friday nights or go watch these games. As I said, I think that whoever gets that will also, if they're looking for a place to put roots, this is good. As I talked about the sacred earth, this is some good earth to plant roots in. So I'll brag on the community of West Craven as much as I will certainly as much as I brag about the athletics over there. So I think that's part of the magic that is West Craven.
Oh, 100%, Mark. And I'll be honest, we've been turned down by a couple guys, and that's fine. That's what happens in this process. But a badge of honor in what you just said is completely correct. Everybody we've talked to has just said raving great things about the Western Craven County community. And that's beyond just 2600 Streets Ferry Road in the high school building. That's what you just alluded to. Dover, Cove City, Vanceboro, Bridgeton. And I know I'm missing Ernle. I'm missing all the other kinds of names here. But Askins, we serve such a great area out here. But they all have said the exact same thing. This community is special, and the next person's going to be lucky. They recognize that. They see that. And so I really wear that as a badge of honor that this area is so well thought of athletically and football-wise and just in general of who we are and what we do. That's something to be proud of.
Oh, man, Super Bowl week. All right, so, Coach, let's make that transition, talk about some other things, but good West Craven talk. And before we do this, and I'll mention this again, with everything being a little haywire and chaotic with the weather, the best thing I can advise you, and I'll say it in my old man terms, find West Craven Eagle Sports on the Facebook or the Instagram or whatever social media, and you'll get updates on reschedules and all of these things. So as this weather has messed up everybody's usual circumstances, or I should say usual routine, if you're looking for updates on West Craven athletic events, I say find them on social media, and we try to share those updates. So find us on social media as well. But let's transition over to it's Super Bowl week, and I'm going to wait till the end of the conversation to get your picks. But there's a couple of things I wanted to ask, and one of the first, and it's sort of one of the things I've said to everybody, and so I wanted from all my guests this week is to talk about the fact that it's not lost on man. Look, we're talking to a Kansas City Chiefs fan who's sitting here. This is weird times for him. It's Super Bowl week, and we're the Kansas City Chiefs, and it's been odd. But I've been saying all week, I said it's not lost on me that because we've gotten used to the Patriots were winning every week. The Seahawks have been winning every week. But I always go back to the beginning of the year, and I think the prognostications would indicate that we are at some – again, if I said Patriots Seahawks in September, you'd have said this is a joke sports show. What is he talking about? There's no way that Super Bowl's happening. But here we are. And I would say the part B of that is And I think this is a good thing because I think it was yesterday's guest, Paul Whittington, who said this, is there's a little lack of a star power here. We don't have the usual suspects. We don't have Mahomes. We don't have Jalen Hurts. We don't have these names we can throw around, but this gives an opportunity for some new stars. Someone will emerge this weekend or this Sunday as a new star in the NFL. But give me your thoughts on how surprised you are. If I go back to September, Coach Fernandez, and I said to you, Coach, no, it's going to be Patriots Seahawks, would you have thought maybe I had, had happy hour a little early that day?
I think everybody would have probably. It is kind of a unique matchup, but it's sports, man. It's what's great, I wish I could turn back the clock several months and maybe make a
wager,
a friendly sports gambling wager on who might be there. That might have paid pretty well right now, but there's something about the whole thing. Personally, have I got lost a little bit that this is Super Bowl week? A little bit, because there's been such good college basketball on right now, and I'm a basketball guy.
We're going to get to that. Yeah.
But I do have my eye on the Super Bowl and what it is. I just think it's going to be a great thing. It always is. People watch. For everybody says they're not going to watch or whatever, they end up watching. Don't be fooled by that. But it's just such a I was in kind of a friendly debate with a couple guys the other night about this. It's such a global icon event. You can, and I am not going to bring up the names, whatever, but you can go around to halftime entertainment. Well, the halftime entertainment's going to blow everybody's socks off. And it just is. Because really, the people that watch the game for the game don't watch the halftime entertainment. And the people that watch the halftime entertainment don't watch the game for the game. Right. It's two separate entities in one. The athletic people are going to watch the game, have an eye on the halftime entertainment, but really care less. The people that are going to be all enthused into the halftime entertainment have an eye on the game, but really care less in how it turns out. It's mind blowing how you can have the best entertainment in the game athletically going here. Two teams, you could kind of say underdogs, but you look at their record, how the heck could they be underdogs? Going at each other on the field of play, and yet across the world, entertainment-wise, the numbers of viewership will just knock your socks off for the halftime entertainment. So the NFL is the greatest professional sports entity out there, and to know how to maximize that entire thing into one. You have athletic, you have world entertainment all in one, and the billions of dollars they're going to make is just that's why the NFL is the NFL, the greatest marketing model there is amongst professional sports. But it should be a fun one. You look and say, man, how is Seattle not going to kind of boat race them with what they do? But, they didn't know how to run the ball in a couple of years ago and get that last touchdown against New England. So you just kind of want to sit there and say, hey, does Mike Vrabel and New England, they've got to have heard all week on how, maybe they can't keep up or they can't score. But there's something about even though you're fast, you get smacked in the mouth a little bit. Sometimes that slows you down. So it's just going to kind of – and then you made the point a few weeks ago, right when you think these are going to be blowouts, they flip around and they end up being close at the end. And that's kind of the beauty of the whole thing. So it should be a fun night. Lack of star power, I've heard that, and I get it. But I guess maybe that's how you define star power, really. Drake May, what do I say? He's a superstar? No, but if he wins a Super Bowl, he goes into a small group of quarterbacks that have won one. Mike Vrabel, I just think is an all-star coach. Mm-hmm. How could you, if he wins one, are you prepared to say he might not be a Hall of Famer, even though Belichick didn't go into the first round here? And on the flip side of that, you've got kind of a career guy, in Seattle that's kind of worked his way up rapidly, but now he's, sitting there on the cusp of hosting the Lombardi. What it could mean for Seattle to get one done. It's just, there's a lot of stars here. Do we see them on television all the time in commercials? No, but I don't expect anything but a very fun game. And I'm not one that watches the halftime show regardless of who it is. So that's my opportunity to catch a snack. So I'm going to be enthused with the X's and O's in the game itself. And I can't wait for Sunday night to get here.
Okay. I'm going to say this, college basketball. I've been like you, I'm a fan. So here's my thing. It's sort of like college basketball has to, like the NBA, like everything, sort of waits until football is done, and then more eyeballs start to tune in. So you and I are sort of in the. I feel like we're in a similar boat, where we're waiting for the rest of our friends who are sports fans to start watching more basketball because the college basketball season is incredible. I think this is turning into one of the more exciting seasons so far. And we use the term star power with the Super Bowl or the lack of star power in the Super Bowl. Well, we don't have a lack of star power in college basketball. And I know we've talked about this in for several weeks, but just this week, watching North Carolina, which it wound up being a 10-point game, but that game was nowhere close to being a 10-point game against Syracuse. So much so that Carmelo Anthony is probably questioning what's going on over there. In fact, I think there was a story. Then I watched Kansas, Texas Tech, which was a great game. Peterson didn't have a great game, but boy, he was clutch in the last few moments of that game with two big shots. He's so much fun to watch. So I look at Caleb Wilson over there at Chapel Hill, and I'm looking at Peterson, and we've talked about these guys at Kansas. And then last night, I'm watching Cameron Boozer is phenomenal. He has another double-double. And then, and you and I are surrounded by NC State Wolfpack fans. Listen, don't bring your Wolfpack negativity to me. They are playing some excellent basketball. I don't think they're getting enough recognition in the top 25. I think they're 8-2 in the ACC. That was a nice win, and they shut down Boopy Miller at SMU. So, and then you just look around college basketball. As I said, I think this is a excellent season. We got Duke, Carolina the night before the Super Bowl, which, as I said, I'm all in. I can't wait for the rest of the world to catch up with us on this college basketball thing. I think it's a great year with a lot of star power.
It is. It's a lot of fun to watch. Man, John Shire and what they're doing at Duke, and maybe I'm becoming a closet Duke fan. He's just such a young, bright, upcoming. I don't know if you can say upcoming because he's in the present right now. There's been no dip between Coach K and John Shire at Duke, and what they're doing right now there, he controls games from a coaching standpoint that is really at an elite level, very NBA-like, very professional-like. And you can make the argument, well, he's got NBA type players. So maybe that makes a whole lot of sense. But what John Shire is doing in Durham is just really special. Whether you hate Duke or not, you really got to admire the man for what he's doing coaching wise. But yeah, Hubert Davis just can't seem to catch a break from Tar Heel fans. He wins. There's something wrong. He loses. It's all his fault. Maybe that just comes to the territory. But it's also an interesting look at the tale of two tapes here. Both replaced living legends at their institutions, and one has just continued to soar, and the other one, kind of bobs up and down like a bobber on the lake there a little bit. But Hubert Davis, I just don't know who else Carolina could get. That to me, that just seems like such the perfect fit there too. Probably the most underlying story in college basketball for North Carolina. It isn't Caleb Williams. It isn't Hubert Davis. It's renovate or move the Dean Smith Center. That topic seems to be just crazy and has Tar Heel fans twisted all up in shape. Either they want to move to North Campus or they want to stay in the Smith Center. I'm all for staying in the Smith Center. I think it would be a travesty to the sport if they were to move. But that's an interesting take. But man, Mark, if you just go back to college basketball, undefeated 22-0 Arizona in the Big 12 is basketball's SEC football. I mean, to me, it's just hands down the best conference night in and night out across the board. But you got Arizona's undefeated. They're going to have Kansas here coming up, so that'll be a fun one. Michigan, they got off to a hot start. They're still like 20-1. I would have been surprised. I didn't know UConn was 21-1. I kind of thought they were taking a step back, but heck, they're top 5 in the country. Duke's top 5.
They're
Illinois,
the quietest
Gonzaga.
21-1. You're right. That UConn's record. I did that the other day too. I said, wait a minute, what's going on over there? I thought that was done for a little while. But that is quiet. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your thought there. Sorry.
No, I mean, Illinois has one of the best freshmen in the country that doesn't get a lot of the Wagner kid who doesn't get a lot of pub, but he's definitely an NBA prospect. Gonzaga seems to be always there. Iowa State, Houston. I think Nebraska, who I think cracked the top 5 a week ago, but they've lost a couple games since. But they're 20-2, top 10 team. Who would have thought Nebraska football would be irrelevant in the offseason? And Nebraska basketball is a top 10 team. I don't know that anybody would have thought that. I would have liked to go back and make a sports wager on that one too.
Me too.
Carolina's 14th. That just kind of, I get they're 17-4. But man, that just seems kind of low to me. They seem like, but everybody can't be a top 10 team, even if they are a top 10 team. So I get it. But
they have an opportunity Saturday if they beat Duke. I think you couldn't deny that you can't keep them out of the top 10 if they beat number 4 Duke. And by the way, you mentioned that. Yeah, sandwiched in between the Super Bowl for college basketball fans you're right. That Arizona-Kansas matchup is Monday. So Duke Carolina Saturday. Super Bowl Sunday, Arizona, Kansas on Monday. So you're welcome. And there's your weekend.
That's going to be in Allen Fieldhouse. So that place will be rocking. I saw something stupid the other day. Bill Self is like, I could have this wrong. I'd have to correct myself. He's something like 34-0 on Big Monday in Allen Field. So you're getting the number 1 team in the country, undefeated, potentially, if they win here over the weekend, coming into historic Allen Fieldhouse against a head coach that I believe in his tenure has only lost like 21 or 22 games in Allen Fieldhouse total, but is like 34-0 on Big Monday. So they just some of the history into that game. That place will be rocking. We talked about 9 o'clock starts earlier. That place will be rocking at 9 o'clock Eastern on Monday night for that college basketball showdown. And if we get anything like we got last Saturday between Kansas and BYU with Darren Peterson. I saw a thing on YouTube the other night that I think is right. College basketball has a Darren Peterson problem, not the other way around. It's unconventional. It's different. Is he load managing? Is he hurt? Is his agent involved? Regardless, when he is on the floor, he is special, and he is a generational type talent that really, if you're just objectively take the name off the chest, he is just one of the great college basketball players we've ever seen put on a college basketball uniform. And it's just, he is so fun to watch. If we can replicate that Monday night, it'll be even a better game than what it's probably going to be tabbed to be.
I think it was Seth Greenberg who said this after the game on Monday or Tuesday. Yeah, it was Monday, the Texas Tech game. And I agree. I think if Peterson's in and he's 100% healthy and all in, it makes Kansas a Final Four team, at least the opportunity. I think he's that good. Yeah, look, folks, if you're not in, if you're late to this thing, don't worry. It's time, plenty of time. College basketball is in full swing and some great teams and a great weekend for everybody to get involved. And as I said, I mean, come on. Especially for our folks around here. North Carolina's good. Duke's good. NC State's good. I just don't think they're getting the recognition they deserve. Wake Forest a little down. But we'll see. I am super excited now. And by the way, Charlotte Hornets trying to make it 8 in a row, which they haven't. I saw this stat. Did you know that the Hornets haven't won 8 in a row since the PlayStation 2 came out? This is, by the way, their longest winning streak dating back to the year 2000. So, as a person who is, as I said, I'm watching the earlier Charlotte Hornets teams, which got you really excited with the Muggsy Bogues and Larry Johnson and Alonzo Mourning. That was a great team, and it obviously has been insufferable for the last however long. But hey, Con Knippel's playing well. It's a good team. So there's that. But we got to circle back around because we got to talk Super Bowl, because I got to get your winners here. Patriots and Seahawks. And here's my stat for everybody this week, and I'm going to share this throughout the week. You take it for what it is. The last time I checked the point spread, it was 4.5 points. That's considered a little high for a Super Bowl. And there's only 11 times that there's been a point spread like that or higher. The team that's the favorite is 1-10 against the spread in the history of that. So you take that information for what you want. But that is what the other thing about this is that straight up, you take out the whole point spread and gambling or the whatever thing out of it, is that the favorite in those cases are 5 and 6 in the Super Bowl. So they've actually lost more than they've won when you're a heavy favorite. So sort of having that chip on your shoulder underdog thing has played out. Now, my biggest concern, to be quite honest with you, is Drake May and the fact that he's been sacked 15 times in the last 3 games and they haven't played Seattle. So, and now you're going to play Seattle, who is really good at pressuring the quarterback. So we've seen this, and again, on all the Super Bowls you've watched, anytime a defense can disrupt a quarterback, it is a recipe for success. And I think, quite honestly, that would be my concern if you're going to try to take the underdog in this case. But I got to wait till the end of the week for my pick. But, Coach, what do you think? Who do you think is going to hoist that Vince Lombardi trophy Sunday night?
Man, I've got to say AFC true, AFC strong. I'm going to be rooting for the Patriots. I like what Mike Vrabel is all about. How he got kind of done wrong in Tennessee. I've been watching. If you go to YouTube, shameless plug for YouTube. If you go to YouTube, there's and I can't think of the name of it. There's a New England Patriots documentary on there, about eight episodes long. And it's from Vrabel taking the job, through the season, and just the way they've built that franchise, the way he came in, got some free agents, got the draft going, the way that building united, the way and being a Kansas City Chiefs fan, I hate to say it, man, you hate to see New England do good, but just the way that entire organization just kind of came together for him based on what he meant for them. And a shameless plug here, I'll back up. Vrabel was a member of the Kansas City Chiefs several years ago, his last season in the NFL. And then he retired and went and became an assistant coach at Ohio State. So his coaching career, took off from there. So there's a little bit of a Kansas City Chief in there somewhere that I can root for Vrabel as a New England Patriot. But I just think watching that and seeing what he's about, not saying Seattle isn't probably built in the same way, otherwise they wouldn't be there. But it just, being a KC fan, being an AFC fan, I want to see it stay in the AFC. Something about driving the sports world crazy if New England could kind of rekindle their dynasty a little bit and add one past, post Belichick, post Brady. But then again, I'd argue real quick, is it really past them? Vrabel played for them. Vrabel played with Brady. It's just kind of keep it. I guess in layman's terms, it'd be like what Hubert Davis is to Carolina, what John Shire is to Duke. He's the native son that now is carrying the torch on to the next thing. And so I just, like I said at the beginning, I see where Seattle could just run away with this thing, and we had that last year. The Chiefs were on the bad end of that. It was a blowout, but I just think somewhere deep down, there's going to be some kind of strategy here. There's going to be something. The hidden sauce here is, if you believe that guy on X, the NFL doctor guy who says Drake May's hurt, that his shoulder's hurting this thing, that could be an X factor in this thing because they haven't publicly said that other than, Vrabel saying all of our guys are hurt to some capacity. That could be a little twist in things, but I'm going to be rooting for New England. I hope they pull it out. I hope it's close. And as offensive as everybody likes to be, man, wouldn't it be something if it was a defensive play again, like it was several years ago, that kind of sealed the deal for New England? Somehow in the Bill Belichick world and Robert Kraft and New England Patriots, that would just kind of be a cherry on the top, a defensive play to win it, kind of by the native grown son, bringing back another Lombardi. I just, as a sports fan and a coaching fan, that's just too good for me to pass up than to root for that.
Yeah, I've been saying all week, too, about how you've got two good defenses. This could turn into one of those 10-6 kind of games, 13-6. And I thought how everybody's going to be in an uproar over that because everybody loves offense. And then my guest yesterday said that his prediction was the first touchdown wouldn't be scored until overtime, which was a pretty bold take. But we'll see what happens with this thing. And I want to say, shameless plug. You were talking about shameless plugs on the YouTube. Find 252 Fox Sports on YouTube, and you can catch me and Coach Fernandez. If you missed any portion of this interview today, you can catch it right there. So I know you're going to be like me, just sitting down and enjoying some of the spoils of the land this weekend, and just enjoying, as I said, the fact that we've got the Super Bowl in between those two big college basketball games. And, I don't, as I said, I love these weekends, as I said, but I feel like, again, it's, the sports world is always there with some good stuff, but this is particularly a good weekend. And so for, I think for all of us that might have a little snow or ice and kind of be still in the, kind of snowed in, it's a good thing, right? If we're still snowed in, I think it's a good thing as long as we can still watch the sports.
And I got a quick idea for you, Mark, since you brought up the Hornets.
Okay.
Why can't we get together in the great state of the Carolinas, North and South, and why can't we get a Hornets game to slide down the road and play one time in Raleigh at the Levino Center? Yes. They're almost same capacity, but then you would allow people over here on the coast to get a little NBA flavor other than having to go 4 hours down the road to do it. And likewise, that arena down in Greenville, South Carolina, I don't know the name of it, but it's only a couple thousand people difference. Why couldn't the Hurricanes slide a game down there and give that whole region a little bit different? One game, and I get it, millions of dollars are made on all these home games, but let's face it, the Hornets ain't selling out every game either. Maybe the Hurricanes are, but I know the Hornets aren't. Yeah. Just slide down, have a little brotherly love here between the Carolinas. Slide down the road. I mean, I'm just telling you, I would go to an NBA game in Raleigh, not saying move the team. That's not what I'm saying. But I would go there once a year just to check out the NBA flavor a little bit, rather than when I look and say, man, I got to drive a little over Coach, 4 hours to Charlotte to do it.
If they move Charlotte, if they move the Hornets to Raleigh, I'd go to 20 games a year. I'll be honest with you. This is a show for another day. When we get in the summertime, we'll talk about how I don't feel like the Panthers. Now, I'm fine with you putting the Panthers games on. My problem is this. I'm one of these people who buys sports packages, and I feel like if I buy your TV sports package, stop blacking out my home team, especially if my home team's Charlotte. Because if you've ever tried to drive to Charlotte from where I'm at, it doesn't feel like the home team. And for that matter, Major League Baseball, how is Washington, D.C. and Baltimore my home team?
I get it. I get it. I get the same issue with – I got the Royals package. And I get if I'm paying for it, I shouldn't be blacked out of anything.
That's what I'm saying. I should get all the games if I'm paying for it. What do you
But yes, whole different topic, but
yeah, different topic for a different day. But as I said earlier, and I'll circle back around to this, if you're looking for information about Wes Craven Sports, and by the way, if you're just tuning in now, you missed a whole conversation about the football coach at Wes Craven. So I'm not going to say anything now. It's too late. You missed it. But you can go to YouTube and find us on 252 Fox Sports if you missed any of that. And as I said earlier, with the weather making everything a little chaotic, I would find Wes Craven Eagle Sports on your social medias, on Instagram, on Facebook, wherever it is, and follow them, and you're going to get the most recent updates for all the games. And then that way you're in the know. So as weather affects everything here in the next few days, stay up to date that way. So, Coach, I'm going to let you get back to it so you can get some work done, but I always appreciate having the opportunity to talk to you.
All right, Mark, I appreciate it.
All right, take care. That's it for today. But big thank you again to David Fernandez. Want to thank him for joining us today. I also want to thank you for joining us today. Thank you so very much. Would not have meant as much without you here. And I mean that in all honesty. We have Brian North from News Channel 12 and Fox Eastern Carolina. He will be joining us tomorrow on the show. We'll talk a little bit more Super Bowl and star power, maybe even some college basketball. And hey, how about them Charlotte Hornets? But that's tomorrow. Have a great one. We'll see you tomorrow on The Drive.
The Drive with Mark Panichelli is an exclusive, original presentation of the 252 Network.